Hey guys, so my wife's Jeep Liberty has a water pump issue. It's got some leaking going on the gasket. So what we're going to do is remove this whole piece here. You're going to have to take off a series of bolts all the way around. I believe it's about 8 or 9 all the way around. Those bolts are 1/2-inch sockets. Okay, but in order to get to those, you're going to need to get the belt off. This is the tensioner right here. You're going to need a 1/2-inch socket to loosen up the tensioner. Now, put the socket in as if you're tightening the bolt, and then when you push down on your socket wrench, it'll actually pull this whole unit up and allow you to get the belt off. So we're going to go ahead and remove that first, as well as start draining the radiator. So I got the belt off. Like I said, all it was you put your 15mm wrench on, or socket on that nut, and literally as you tighten it, you can see it move. That loosens up the belt, and then you can just slide the belt off all your pulleys and you're done. So underneath, let's get underneath this guy. I got it draining right now. There's an actual valve on the bottom of your radiator. If you just turn it slightly, it will start draining. It's kind of a slow process, but it's not messy when you do it correctly. So we're going to let that drain, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and start removing the bolts off of that water pump. Okay, so in order to get to one of the bottom bolts, you're going to need to remove this pulley here. You can go ahead and use your 15mm socket and just remove that pulley completely off of your tensioner. So like I said, there's a series of bolts that you got to take out, which are 1/2 inch. They're 1/2 inch bolts all the way around. Like I said, I think there's about 8 or 9 of them. So we're just going to go ahead and start loosening those up and removing that water pump. Okay, so now that you got all the bolts out, the water pump will literally just fall off of the block. So what you're going to want to do now is clean up all the junk that you see around, and then just take some light sandpaper, something like I don't know, maybe 200 or 180 or 100, somewhere in there. Just don't go 60, 40, just, don't go too heavy. You just want to take the burrs off so when your new seal comes in, it seats properly and doesn't get cut by something else. So I'm looking at it now. I can actually see, I don't know if you can tell, right at the bottom corner there. Looks like it was leaking from there, and then another spot right on the top, and then there's another spot right on the other side. I don't know if you can see that in there, but right in here there's another spot. So anyways, I'm not sure why the gasket didn't seat properly, but we're gonna go ahead and replace this. Alright guys, so good news. This happens to be under a lifetime warranty at O'Reilly's. Turns out I replaced it 2014, so about 4 years ago now. Anyways, so I could have just gone through and shown you how to do the gasket, but being that they're going to replace the whole thing free of charge, I didn't have to buy a new gasket. I went ahead and went that route. Now you can do the gasket, which is, I believe they're saying about 11-12 bucks as of now, but it may change later. Anyways, so that's good news on my part. So we're just going to go ahead and put this back together. I don't know if you can tell there's actually a notch in the gasket on one side, and then a little round dimple on the other side. So you just want to line those up to the casting. Here's the round dimple, and then the notches right there. So you just want to line them up to the casting. And then you also want to make sure, before you put it back on the block, clean that block off real nice so that the gasket can seat real nice and clean. So yeah, one good thing, make sure when you're getting parts, O'Reilly's really good at this, that they give lifetime warranties for things. I know I have a few other lifetime warranty things, like the alternator, and I believe the tensioner is on lifetime warranty. So just something to think about when you're replacing parts. So let's get this thing put back together and back on the vehicle. So this comes with a great how-to manual. If you get lost, if this video doesn't exactly help you out, there's a great how-to video. A lot of times parts come with this stuff. but I like to actually visually see the parts getting pulled off the vehicle. So anyways, step number 7 here is torque specs for those bolts. You want to make sure you torque them down to what the factory says. Now I looked it up and it's actually 14 pounds. Go ahead and get your torque wrench out, and then you're going to tighten those up to 14 pounds. You don't want to over tighten them, because if you do, you'll squish that gasket down too much, or if you under tighten them, you won't get enough seal. So you know, just something. One thing I forgot to show you guys, you can do this if you want or not. I like to lay the bolts out as I'm taking them out. Only reason, because you could tell there's 3 long bolts and the rest are short bolts. You want to make sure those long bolts go back in the correct holes, and the short bolts go back in the correct holes as well. So anyways, we're going to get that thing back on and bolt it down with 14 pounds torque. So make sure you set your torque settings at 14 foot-pounds of torque. You don't want inch-pounds, because then you tighten it down enough. So I have it set, I went to 10 and then 4 more, and there's 14, so you can see, hard to see actually, there's the 20 and it's actually below the 20, so that's 14 foot-pounds. Now I have all these things snug. Best thing to do is go diagonal, go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you know, just work it like as if you're putting your car lugs on your tires. So we're gonna go ahead and start with this one, and then work over that one. Come here, go back there. So all right, let's go and get this thing tightened down. All right, guys. So this is the correct way to put your belt on. Most vehicles have some sort of sticker here that shows the direction of the belt. I'm not sure why this one doesn't, but anyways, you're gonna want to start from your bottom pulley. Okay, you wrap it all the way around, then you go to the first tensioner pulley. Okay, then you come on over to your power steering pump. Okay, so you're gonna loop it up around your power steering pump, over your alternator, back down to your water pump, and then back up to your AC unit. And then once you use your tension tool to loosen this up, you get the last one on. Okay, the reason why you do that is it allows for less slippage on this pulley, and it puts an even pressure on the bearing in there. If you pull it off, I've seen some people just go directly over this one, and it comes back to this, and it pulls it at an angle, and just it doesn't run right. So anyways, this is the correct way to install your belt. So now I have it installed, I'm going to go ahead and fill up with coolant. Okay, we're going to bump start it just to get the belt seated, and then we'll make sure we get all the air out of the pump. Okay, in order to do that, you need to squeeze this tube. As it's running, it pushes the air through and pushes liquid through as well. Sometimes you may need to take this off and fill it up so you can drain or fill the actual water pump with coolant. So that may be an option if you can't get all the air out. If you don't get all the air out, your engine won't run properly, because these pumps are not meant to pump air, they're meant to pump water. So your engine will actually be running hotter if you don't get the air out. So let's get this thing topped off, get the belt seated, and get going on making sure everything's proper. Okay, so now you're filling up your radiator. You're gonna want to squeeze on this hose. You'll actually see air bubbles come up. That is getting the air out of the system. So you're gonna have to do that about 15-20 times until you get all the air out. Alright guys, so now that everything's all buttoned back up, the last thing to do is to warm the vehicle up, make sure it doesn't overheat. That little orange needle should be running right about centered when properly cooling. So I've already tested it out. I know it's running proper. So anyways, thanks for watching, and join me on the next one, guys.